So you're new to freelance writing and you've heard a few horror stories about clients ghosting on their freelance writers, and you're worried that it might happen to you. Happens to the best of us. I'm going to tell you exactly what you can do to help make sure a client pays you on time, every time. Hi, I'm Naomi. I've been a freelance writer for 17 years and I run the blog over at helpmenaomi.com. I offer down-to-earth advice for writers who want to get paid. And before I forget, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you'll get notified whenever I post up a new video. In my last video, I talked to you about the different warning signs that a client might be getting ready to ghost on you without paying that you could watch out for. When they start using bully-like negotiation tactics during estimates and proposals, when they show an unwillingness to pay a reasonable down payment before work commences, when they start trying to tell you how much you should be charging or how much time the project should take you to complete, when they start scrutinizing every word of your signed contract, when they're trying to change the terms of your signed contract or sneak in a little extra work without actually updating that contract, when they start giving unfounded and harsh complaints about your work, and when they stop responding to your communications altogether. If you haven't watched that video yet, be sure to go ahead and watch that for more details into each of these warning signs. But I want to talk about the key phrase here. These are warning signs, not indicators. They're just little flags to help you keep your guard up, not the actual ghosts, right? So if you see any of these warning signs that a client might not pay his or her invoice, there's still plenty of time to turn it around and collect your payment. And that's what we're talking about right now. Tips and tricks you can use to make sure you get paid and they work even if you see some of these warning signs popping up. First, if you do start to see some of these warning signs popping up, do not assume the worst. Warning signs, not indicators. The last thing you want to do is throw an attitude at your client and risk hurting your relationship with them because you think they might be trying to skip out on your bill when it actually isn't their plan at all. Second, before you sign that contract, talk to your client about their payment processes. Do they pay their bills once a week, once a month, on the 1st and the 15th? Does it run through a department? And if so, who runs that department? And can you have their contact information just in case you have any questions come up later? Understanding how your client is used to making payments can really help cut down on any confusion or misunderstandings later. Third, make it easy to pay you. I mean, ridiculously easy. Research shows that clients pay up to 11 days faster when they can pay online with a credit card. So include your PayPal link or your Stripe link, whatever you use for your transactions, on your invoice to encourage fast and easy payment. And if you can use the information you gathered about how they pay their bills, use that to your advantage. If you know they always pay on Fridays, send that invoice on Friday mornings. The easier it is to pay you and the closer it is to their normal routine, the more likely they are to pay you. Fourth, speaking of invoices, make sure you send them when you say you will. Send them too early and clients tend to forget about them. Send them too late and you'll show your clients that you don't care about your own payment process. If you want your clients to respect your timelines, then you have to lead by example and respect them yourself. Fifth, I do not tend to agree with discounting prices for services with one exception: offering an incentive to quick payers. For example, offering a small discount, 3 to 5%, on an invoice that is paid in full within 24 hours. By offering a reward like this, it incentivizes and rewards clients for doing what you want them to do, which is pay their invoice on time, without attracting those clients who are just out for a discount. This wouldn't be as special for you to advertise anywhere. Just write it in the terms of the invoice that if they pay that invoice within 24 hours, they only have to pay 97%. My clients love getting that little deal that they weren't expecting. You might think 3% is nothing, but let me tell you, you would be surprised at how many will jump at the chance to save that 3% and pay fast. Sixth, revamp your invoicing process. A lot of people out there will advise you to get a down payment up front, and I've seen freelance writers collect 30 to 50%, and this isn't bad advice. It's not a bad tactic. However, I find it's much more effective for a few reasons to bill weekly. For one thing, it allows me to break up the project into several milestones instead of just 2 or 3. And for another thing, it gets the client used to paying me every week. Plus, it helps spread out my income so I have something coming in every week. And if that client happens to miss a payment, well, then I just stop working. So if they do end up ghosting, I've lost out on a week's worth of pay rather than the entire project or the entire second half of the project. 7th, talk to your clients a lot. Call them, send them messages, send them emails, make jokes, send memes, anything that reminds you of them or their project, talk to them. Do you remember that show ER? Started way back in the 90s. And there was one episode I watched back when I was still relatively new to freelance writing. And in this episode, one of the doctors said to another, people don't sue doctors they like. And that has really stuck with me. Even if the doctor makes every mistake imaginable, people don't generally sue if they like the doctor. And what I found is that clients don't skip out on paying writers they like. Now, I'm not saying move from being professional to being their best friend. I'm just saying be friendly. Don't only talk to them when you're giving them updates on your project, but ask about other things. How are things going? Did their daughter get into college? Did their toddler stop eating clay? Is their dog okay? Take care of business and then take care of your client, and they will be much less likely to skip out on paying you. 8th, do not be afraid to follow up on an unpaid invoice. I cannot count how many freelance writers I've met over the years who will send an invoice and then worry about bothering the client. So they'll wait, sometimes for weeks. And then they'll ask me if I think it's okay to email them again. Yeah. Totally okay to email a follow-up to your client and ask them to pay you. Be polite, obviously, but be direct. You did work, you sent an invoice, and they should pay you within a reasonable amount of time. And speaking of follow-up, do not get wishy-washy on them, okay? Do not say things like, pay when you can. You are running a business. If you do not carry yourself like a business, they will not treat you like a business. Pay when you can or pay at your earliest convenience is neither professional nor effective. And pick up the phone. Sometimes a quick phone call can be a lot more effective than sending 2 or 3 emails. If you have gone through each of these steps and you still have not received payment, politely, and this is key because again, you want them to pay you, politely let your client know 3 things. 1, your work has stopped until payment is received. 2, you have tried to reach them several times with no success. And 3, you're going to have to consider legal action if they do not get in touch with you by give them a date. A lot of times, just the phrase, consider legal action, is enough to get a client to call or email you back, especially if you have a written contract. But there is something I should note here, and that is why I use the phrase, consider legal action versus using a phrase like talk to an attorney or take you to court. And my reasoning is very specific. The reason I use the phrase consider legal action is because I want the out. If you use a phrase like I will contact my attorney or I will bring you to court, then if they don't pay you, you have to do that. It's a threat, albeit a polite one. But now you've left yourself with no choice but to follow through on that threat. If the next correspondence that they receive doesn't come from your lawyer, they won't take anything else you say seriously. You told them you were going to talk to a lawyer, and yet no lawyer. Either you tried to talk to a lawyer and couldn't, or you didn't talk to a lawyer at all. Either way, they're not going to believe anything else you have to say about this. However, I will have to consider legal action. All that says is that you'll look at your options, and they can derive that one of those options could be to get a lawyer and could be to take them to court. But it leaves the door open. If you call or send them another email, they aren't necessarily expecting that correspondence to come from a lawyer. So you're not giving them a reason to doubt you. I strongly recommend staying away from phrases like attorney, lawyer, and court unless you fully plan on that being your very next step. If you're unsure, don't say it. Now, I'm not saying that if you do all of these things that you will never get ghosted. Like I said in my last video, sometimes these clients just surprise you. However, if you do all of these things, you decrease the likelihood of getting ghosted significantly. And sometimes that's the best we can hope for. So now it's your turn. Do you have a tip on how to make sure your clients don't skip out on paying you? Go ahead and share your tips in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.